Quick question. If I told you that adding just one sentence to your next email could make a 200% difference and make it that much more effective, would you believe me, or would you assume that I've been listening to too many bogus marketing influencers? Well, here's the thing. It's true. Studies show that personalized calls to action convert 202% better than generic ones. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to personalization. So today we're diving into how you can craft B2B copy that feels like it was written for just one person, even when it's reaching hundreds or even thousands. Let's get into it. You're listening to the High Conversion Health Marketer Podcast, the show that helps you craft memorable copy and messaging that connects, captivates, and converts. My name is Linda Malone, a certified conversion copywriter and award-winning content writer, help businesses generate six-figure contracts from persuasive copy. My mission is to help you, the health and fitness marketer, attract your ideal customer with copy they can't resist so you can grow your business. In today's episode, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful tools in your copywriting toolbox, personalization at scale. You'll learn how to craft B2B copy that feels like it was written just for one person, even when it's actually reaching hundreds or maybe even thousands of people. So here's what you're going to walk away with today. You'll learn, number one, the 5 levels of personalization from quick wins to hyper-targeted strategies. 2, how to automate personalization without sounding like a chatbot. And the one mindset shift that will make your copy instantly more human and relatable. Sound good? Okay, great. Let's dive in. If you're ready to stop sending dear first name emails and start creating connections that convert, here's how we're going to do it. But before I get into the details, I came up with this idea after receiving a number of those year-end wrap-ups from companies like Spotify that presented me with an overview of my most popular podcast episodes. Maybe you got them too. Spoiler alert, Crafting Irresistible Captivating B2B Content was my number 1 podcast this year. And most listen to bands and music, so even though I know they send this to all their subscribers, it was not only super interesting to me, but it made me feel kind of special. And yeah, maybe I'd be more likely to choose a service by them over their competitors. And that is the power of personalization. In fact, personalized product recommendations drive 11 times more revenue per visitor compared to non-personalized recommendations. Here's a couple of other stats on the impact of personalization. Personalized calls to action, CTAs, have been found to convert, as I mentioned earlier, 202% better than default version. Companies utilizing advanced personalization strategies have seen returns of $20 for every $1 invested. That's a pretty good ROI. And personalization can lower customer acquisition costs by up to 50%. But here's the thing. Personalization isn't optional anymore. Your audience expects it. According to data, 80% of consumers are more likely to do business with a company that offers personalized experiences. And yes, that includes B2B buyers. But, and this is a big but, it's also easy to mess up. If you've ever received an email that said, "Hi, first name, we notice you're interested in wrong product." Yeah, not so great. So today we're going to simplify personalization. Think of it like climbing a ladder step by step. You don't need to leap straight to the hyper-targeted campaigns. You just need to start with the next logical step. And for that, we're going to use what I call the personalization hierarchy. 5 levels of personalization hierarchy. So let's break this down into these 5 levels. Level 1, basic personalization. These are the quick wins. So at the bottom of our ladder, we have basic personalization. This is your hi, first name kind of stuff. But don't dismiss it because it's still valuable. If you're sending out emails, use their first name, reference their company, or mention something as simple as their location. So here's an action step for this number 1 piece of advice. Next time you write an email, add one layer beyond just their name, like their role or their company. So example, instead of saying, hi, Sarah, say, hi, Sarah, as wellness director at XYZ company, you've probably seen how engagement, blah, 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 can dip over the year, whatever your message is. It's a small shift, but could have a big impact. Number 2, contextual personalization. Show that you know them. This is where you start referencing specific actions the person has taken, like downloading a white paper, attending a webinar, or visiting your pricing page. So the action step for this tip is to look at your last 5 emails. Did you reference any specific actions or behaviors from the recipient? If not, that's your homework from this step. So here's another example. Hi, Sarah, I noticed you downloaded our guide on corporate wellness programs. If you're still exploring options, here's something that might help. So now it feels like you actually know them, not that you're one of 1,000 faceless names. Next, level 3, segmented personalization. Speak to groups like individuals. So now we're leveling up. Instead of one-to-one, we're focusing on one-to-few. You might segment your audience by industry, role, or customer journey stage. So here's the action step here. Identify 2 to 3 segments in your audience. So maybe it's gym owners versus HR managers, and write slightly different messages for each group. So here's an example. A gym owner might care about member retention, while an HR manager might focus on cost per employee for wellness programs. Same message structure, but different emphasis. Level 4, advanced personalization. This is the one-to-one illusion. So this is where you make automation feel human and not a chatbot. So tools like HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, even LinkedIn automation can help you tailor your messaging on a deeper level. So the action step here is take one piece of content this week, a follow-up email, maybe, and add one kind of ultra-personal detail. So an example is, congrats on XYZ Gym hitting your 5-year milestone. That's huge. Here's a resource that might help you support your next phase. Here's a resource that might support your next growth phase. So when someone feels seen, they're also far more likely to respond. Level 5, hyper-personalization. So this is the deep dive. At the top of our hierarchy, we have hyper-personalization. So this is full-blown, custom-tailored campaigns. So think landing pages designed for one specific company, custom dashboards, or interactive experiences. The action step here is, if you have a high-value lead or client, invest in hyper-personalization for them. So even if it's just one person, it's worth it. So an example would be to create a personalized resource library or dashboard based on their unique KPIs. So quickly, let me get into, so there's your 5 different steps for this hierarchy. But you want to avoid some of the most common mistakes when it comes to personalization, because in some ways it can backfire. So a mindset shift that you want to take into account is, ask yourself overall, before you hit publish or send out an email, does this feel natural? Would I respond to this if I received it? And so here are some of the mistakes that you want to catch. Mistake number 1 is overdoing it. No one wants their inbox flooded with, hey, I noticed you emails. Maybe you're already getting too many of those. Mistake number 2, sounding robotic. If your automation feels soulless, your audience will notice. Add authenticity and a human factor in there. Mistake number 3 is ignoring context. By this, I mean, don't pitch a next step offer if they're not ready. So you want to make sure your offer matches their current stage, their current decision-making stage. So briefly, an example would be, if they've just downloaded a free guide, offer a related blog post or another low-commitment resource. Don't go jumping into a $2,000 offer from a freebie. So again, before you hit send, ask yourself, does this feel natural? Would I respond if I received it? So just as a brief review, your cheat sheet for today, here are the hierarchy steps. Number 1, start simple with names and company details. Number 2, reference actions or behaviors. 3, group your audience into meaningful segments. 4, add a human touch to automated messages. And 5, go deep with hyper-personalization for key accounts. So your overall homework for this podcast, pick one level from the hierarchy and implement it this week. So just one. And if you see results, send me a message. I'd love to hear how it worked for you. And if this episode gave you something to think about, hit that subscribe button. And if you know a fellow marketer or copywriter who needs to hear this, please share it with them. See you next week.